Okay, welcome to the Taking Umbrage podcast. I am Jason, and with
And I'm
me
Kyle.
is Kyle. We are in episode 4. We're still awkward as hell.
Well, always will be. But we got takes. We got those takes.
And they're bad or good, I don't know. They're probably great, and you should listen to them because your takes are the ones that are bad, and you should probably feel bad about that. Let's get it going!
Oh yeah.
All right. Live again after a multi-week hiatus.
Yeah, so this is like our side thing, right? And summer's coming to an end. As teachers, we're getting back in the grind here. I've got a little kid that's heading to kindergarten for the first time. It's very exciting, but very stressful.
Big day. Big
Yeah,
day.
her first day at her school is tomorrow, so it's very exciting.
And
Tiring.
my day one of a life is happening in 2 months for mine.
So you're just dealing with the misses.
Yeah, so I have to do literally everything around the house. You know how it is.
Yeah, right.
Hey, can
So
you bend down to pick this thing up? Can I get a back massage? Can you wipe the dog's feet? Can
and
you
you're
do
very happy to do it, and you're very happy to
that's
do it.
that's the only way to be.
It's the only way to be. All right, so uh, this is our fourth episode of this, and in today's episode,
Yeah.
we're going to talk some IDP. You can already see on the screen the Raiders players we're going to talk about. But before we get to these players, which I'm sure you know about, if you're in the IDP landscape or like the NFL at least, um, I just got a counter offer on one of my trades, so I want to talk about that really quick. Um, I was offered. This guy offered me in a dynasty league, Snoop Connor and a second round pick next year for Dameon Pierce, which I heartily guffawed at. Like, why do I want Snoop Connor on my team?
You
Uh,
don't. You just don't want that.
yeah, you don't. He's the third running back and has done nothing of note in the preseason to show that he's done anything good. ETN has looked good. Robinson's going to be coming back from his injury. He's supposed to be fine. So, and Jacksonville's probably not going to be great. So I don't know why I'd want that guy. Pierce has obviously shown himself to be the best back in Houston, and is in for a good workload. I mean, it's Dynasty. He's a rookie. This could be a good situation for me, right? I picked him in our rookie draft like months ago, and I've been very happy. I've gotten him a few teams actually. Um, so I promptly rejected that, and I sent a counteroffer because really I wanted Dadams. He has Devonte Adams, and he doesn't look like he's competing. So I sent him somewhat of a joke trade. I sent him Dameon Pierce and Sam Howell for Devonte Adams and a third for him from him. Now
Hmm.
I feel like that's not that terrible. What do you think about that? It's a
Okay.
super flex league, and he's not in contention really next year.
I mean, considering it's dynasty, obviously having Devontae, if you're especially not contending this year, that's not like doing a lot for you. I think you could probably get a little bit more than Damian Pierce for that. Sam Howell, I liked him, but just considering the fact that he was a fifth round pick, that kind of makes the likelihood that he's going to start this year or even maybe next year or ever like a lot lower. Um, Damian Pierce, I mean, I like him. I like him a lot. I mean, I think if we're talking about efficiency, I think he could be a relatively efficient back. If you were to possibly get another offer in return, a counter offer that would be a little bit better than that, I have some things to say about that.
Well, I did actually get a counter offer because I wasn't expecting him to accept that offer because people don't like to give me Devonte Adams for some reason every time I try to trade for him. Maybe because I'm lowballing, but I was hoping he would like ask for
And
something
spite.
else and spite. Well, he doesn't know me. This is like a random league. This guy doesn't know who I am. Um, so he doesn't want to give up Adams. So he countered again like 5 minutes ago, uh, just a first for Dameon Pierce. And
All
I'm
right.
thinking like that's an interesting trade there. because obviously I didn't take Pierce in the first just a couple months ago. But I do have JT and DeAndre Swift already as my starters, but then I have Pollard and Drake and Pierce, and those are the only other backs I have on my team. So like I feel like Dameon Pierce is a great depth piece and also a long term hold for like what he could be. And if I'm taking a draft pick next year, I'm gonna have to fill that roster slot with like some bum who's on waivers right now, who's probably not nobody who's gonna be like what Pierce has. Nobody who has that situation.
All right, so if you're gonna say you're gonna get a second for him, I would be like, yeah, I don't know. But if you're gonna get a first round pick for him, he hasn't actually played in the regular season. We actually don't know if he is a good NFL back. We're kind of like more reading the tea leaves. We saw a couple of runs from him that looked good. Like the college tape on him, I think he was efficient, but he was like stuck in the Florida system where they kind of just use these really talented players in weird ways or underutilize them, and so it's been a little bit difficult to get like a good talent eval out of Florida players recently, or especially offensive players. But I think if you can get a first round pick for him, like just you never know what's going to happen. Like this other guy could be the worst team in the league, and like you could get next year's Brees Hall or Chris Olave or Drake London or what. It's a first round rookie pick. Like it's gonna be good, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be pretty good.
My other problem is I haven't like looked at I have no idea about college football, honestly, and I don't like start looking at them until it's towards the end of the year to like know about players. So I have no idea the value of like a top guy. And like this year there was a ton of talent, it seemed like a ton of receivers and a few running backs. Um,
Um,
but
in terms of running back talent, I felt like it was a little bit more top heavy. Like Brees, Kenneth Walker to me are like surefire, like they're gonna be good. And the thing is, like, imagine you were to trade Dameon Pierce for one of them. Like I would do that straight up. Because just long term, I think those guys are gonna return more value, especially it's a dynasty league, right? For
yeah,
this year, maybe not, but if you're thinking like 3, 4 years down the road, those guys are going to return more value in the long term, most likely than Pierce. Pierce is good, but those guys having a chance to be elite, and that's why they were first round picks. And next year, there will be like there's going to be 12 guys that are going to be worthy of a first round pick. And next year's quarterback class, you said it was a super flex league, right? Next
yeah.
year's quarterback class is loaded. As a Seahawks fan, I've already gone in a bit on next year's quarterback class. It is deep and it is loaded. There's really good high end talent and depth throughout. I just think you're going to be able to get a really good quarterback with a first round pick next year.
Well, that's what I was thinking too. My quarterbacks right now are Lamar Jackson, Marcus Mariota, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Deshaun Watson. So like obviously Deshaun Watson's kind of out for most of the season, but I still have Lamar and Deshaun for next year and the future. But yeah, I could be. I also have Desmond Ritter and Sam Howell on my taxi squad. But yeah, all right. I think
I
I
think
think I want to do it.
that's a smash accept.
I
I mean,
think I
just
want
think
to do
about
that.
the potential upside of having a first round quality quarterback in a dynasty super flex league for the price of a a running back that went in the fourth round of the NFL draft a couple months ago and we haven't even seen play. I think that's a no brainer.
So I just want to add a little edit here. I misread that trade, and as you guys can see, it says a 2024 first rounder. After we finished recording, I went back and checked and saw that, and it said, "Oh crap!" So I sent another proposal to him for a 2023 first, and I woke up and he had accepted it. So in the end, I got what I thought I was getting, which was a 2023 first rounder for Dameon Pierce.
I just want to win.
That's easy.
My team is so good. I overtook this team like a stray team, and I made 2 trades before the rookie draft to get Mark Andrews and to get Jonathan Taylor. And like my lineup is ridiculous. I have Lamar Jackson, Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, Jamar Chase, AJ Brown, Mark Andrews, Rashod Bateman, Hunter Renfrow, and Marcus Mariota as my starters, with Watson and Pollard and Pierce, and then like a handful of other like Devontae Parker, Christian Kirk, Alan Lazard. But like my starting lineup is sick. It's like 4 first round picks. If this was like, you know what I mean, or like 5 top 2 round picks, like insane. How
That
good
sounds
my team
like my team in our league.
is. Does it?
I just want to say Rashod Bateman is 2013 Anquan Bolden. Look up 2013 Anquan Bolden stats. That's Rashod Bateman this year. I'm calling it.
You mean good? You mean as a was
Yeah, I mean good.
was Anquan Boldin a rookie in 2013?
No. That was his first year in San Francisco when Colin Kaepernick was the quarterback, and they also had Greg Roman as the offensive coordinator.
Oh,
Which in Baltimore this year, the offensive coordinator is Greg Roman, and we have Lamar Jackson quarterbacks. So
it's a very interesting comparison there that you got going on. It's a nice little take. I like that.
I'm just giving out little free tidbits, just little
like
freebies for people.
Well,
And I can say that now because I already got him in our league. So
you already got him.
You know.
In our, I have another league actually. My dearest league. Maybe to know our league. It's
Your first love.
My first love. It's a keeper league. But it's a you can keep as many players as you want or as few as you want. So it's kind of got the dynasty feel, but it's a salary cap auction league. So basically, the price that you pay this year, it's +10 for an offensive player and +5 for an IDP. And I was looking at my team, and like I want to keep like everybody. It's a 14-team league, right? It's a super flex, and I can keep Derek Carr, T. Higgins, Patterson, Eckler, Cousins, Mariota, and I'm debating about Waller. I'm not sure because of the price. And then look at my IDPs. I can keep Okereke, Kirksey, Holland, Crosby, Abram, Adams, and Chase Young, all for $6. That's just the minimum that you could keep somebody on defense. And Shaquille Leonard for 16. Like I have almost a full roster. And if you add up all those prices, it comes to 218, including Shaquille Leonard. So if I were to take Waller, you can see here that it's 35. That would put me at 223 plus 30, 253. But then I have $47 left, and I need a wide receiver 1. So I'm debating, should I keep Shaquille Leonard for 16? Should I keep Darren Waller for 35? Or should I stay at 202 and just like go ham and try to take like Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill or something like this with the last money that I have?
I mean, Tyreek and Devontae would be fun.
It would be. I could start both of them.
I just got caught
Higgins.
on. I was seeing Julio Jones and Chris Carson on there, and I was thinking smash the keep button on those two.
Yeah, no.
So you need a wide receiver. I mean, I
need a proper like T. Higgins is a wide receiver 1 in a 14-team league because what is he? He's in most rankings like 12 to 14 about, so he's like the low end wide receiver 1. And with Eckler there as my first running back, like that's fine if I had to take Higgins, especially since it's super flex. I could start Cousins and Carr. It's not a big problem, but yeah, I was trying to. What do you think? Do you think I should play it safe and take Waller, and then just go after Tyreek, or not keep Waller and not keep Shaq and try to get both of them? I can definitely get one of them because I only need like 5 players.
The thing with Leonard, I would just be cautious with him. We don't know when he's gonna play, and just I don't know. Everything that's come out from him for the last like year and a half really has just kind of been, I don't know. It's like Andrew Luck all over again. It sounds like just the defensive Andrew Luck. It's just the vibes that I'm getting out of that. That the injuries are kind of mounting up, and it's just, I don't know. He's not openly expressed that he loves football. Put it that way.
I thought that he got injured last year and he felt bad because he just signed that like huge extension, and he was like felt bad that he was not playing through the injury, and so he felt bad for not playing if he could play, so he played through it, and then it ended up making things worse, which is why he's in the situation that he's in right now.
I don't know. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I could swear I remember a few quotes where he said like he wasn't in love with football and stuff like that last year. Maybe I'm just making that up. I'm just throwing dirt on the guy. I don't even know him.
I mean, it's also scary. Like if he's $16, that's pretty expensive for an IDP. But like for context, like I know another guy in the league, it's Corey, said he was talking about keeping Joey and Nick Bosa at 17 and 12. So like top tier. Some of the top tier players are going to go for around $20 in the IDP side. But yeah, I might I might just have those $98 and just outbid everybody. Devontae went for 71 last year. I can't imagine he goes for that much with people thinking, Derek Carr's a downgrade to Aaron Rodgers. Though they know I'm a Raiders fan, so they also might just try to fuck me.
I mean, that's what I would do. Uh, I'm not sold. I don't know. We had a big long conversation about Darren Waller just a few weeks ago, but I don't know if I'm sold on him being worth it at that price at the tight end position. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think
Yeah.
I agree with you. That's why I didn't originally put him in there, and I was like, maybe I should, because I think that, if you follow what we said before in our earlier episodes about Derek Carr, and how can he support Adams, Waller, and Renfro, I think that actually Waller is the one who's going to suffer the most from this, not Renfro. I think Adams will come down a little bit, but I think it's Waller who's really going to be the one. And if I'm firm in that take of mine, why would I keep him at $35 when I could like try to get a Cole Kmet for like $10 later or something like this?
I think you're gonna get more boom bust kind of production out of Waller this year. Like maybe good yardage and some touchdowns, but I just think especially if you're talking like PPR league, the reception floor that he's kind of had the past few years, I just don't know if we're gonna see that. They have other weapons now. That was his thing, right?
Yeah,
they had no
target
others,
monster.
So, yeah.
I mean, last year for week 1, he had like 19 catches or something. Stupid.
Right.
I was like, this is gonna be it. This is the year. Anyways, enough of this stuff. Thank you for your input. I think I'm not gonna keep Waller. I'm probably not gonna keep Leonard either. I'm just gonna go ham at that at the wide receiver position. Corey, I hope you're not listening to this.
I'll be sure to tell him anyway. Don't worry.
So let's get into what we're supposed to be talking about tonight is the IDP players on the Raiders and the Seahawks that we are not necessarily targeting, but think you should keep an eye out for. Okay, so the 4 obviously here: Maxx Crosby, Chandler Jones, Denzel Perryman, Johnathan Abram. These are the main guys. There are some others if you are in some deeper leagues. Like you might want to keep that out for Divine Diablo. Something interesting about him is that he is a converted safety, or he's like playing one of those weird. He's one of the few people like Jeremy Chin who has that dual designation of linebacker and safety. So if he can manage to get playing time this year, it could end up being fantastic for him, where he's dual eligible. But there's also Jayon Brown, who we just picked up in the offseason, and he was solid over in Tennessee. It's not clear who's going to be the number 2 linebacker after Denzel Perryman. So those other linebackers could be somebody that you're looking at deeper in the drafts. And I also would like to honorable mention the cornerback, Nate Hobbs. He's the slot corner for us. He was a rookie last year, and he was like the highest graded rookie corner last year. Jim, I think he was like a 5th round pick or 6th round pick or something, and he ended up being amazing for us.
And that goes back to something we mentioned before as well, like the slot corners. If you're gonna take a corner, it should probably be one of those slot corners, just because they're gonna get more tackles a lot of times.
Exactly, and in this modern NFL, especially in our division with the Chargers and the Chiefs and the Broncos, with lots of like scoring likely to be happening, lots of 3 wide receiver sets, he's probably going to see a lot of playing time, at least in division games. But let's not start. Go ahead.
I also just want to mention real quick. I like Divine Diablo. I just like that. I like him.
I mean,
that's a great name.
It's a sweet name. Sweet name.
He's just one of those guys. I don't know. I like the just the physical profile.
Yeah.
Just.
That's why I think. That's why I think IDP is so awesome. Is that there, like we said before, there's so many players that actually you could target. Like there's only really on offense like 4 or 5 players realistically that you could target, but in IDP there are so many eligible players that you actually could go after. And like I think that these 4 that I've named are the ones that should be rostered. Like these absolutely should be rostered in your league. So let's talk about him. The Condor, Maxx Crosby. This dude is the man, probably the best player we have on our team on the defensive side. I mean,
Whoa,
uh,
whoa,
on the defensive
whoa.
side, certainly. I mean, Carr's a great leader. I think he was pushing Carr for that top spot, but obviously Carr is more important to the team. Uh, and then obviously with Devontae Adams coming over, but he's great. He never quits on a play. He works super hard. You can see it. You can see it on the field. He got unlucky last year. He was fifth in total snaps for the DL in 2021, and third if just looking at DE. So like he didn't come off the field. Like I said, never ending motor. He's always going hard, always giving it his all. Um, if you look here, you can see his production over his career. Um, Unfortunately, he had a down year a little bit last year. He had uh, a lot of hype going into last season after um, a good rookie and sophomore campaign. He did increase his tackles, as you can see, but he also increased his passes defensed and his QB hits. But you'll also notice that his sacks, went down to 8 from his rookie year high of 10. Now, this doesn't look very great, but if you look on the right side, you notice his awards.
Yeah, yeah.
It says AP2, that's the all pro second team, and he made the Pro Bowl. How is it that this dude who only had 8 sacks, he didn't have any interceptions, he didn't have like some 80 total tackles or anything like this, he had fewer tackles for loss, how did he get voted to the all pro second team? Do you know,
Dude's
Kyle?
good at football.
He's good. He's good at football.
Good
Is
at
it?
football.
Do you think it's his tattoos that did it?
It might be.
It's because this dude is a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
Uh, PFF has him at 95 pressures, which led the NFL in 2021. I swear, in one of those broadcasts last year, towards the end of the season, it showed him over 100 pressures. But it depends on which outlet or whatever you're looking at that gives you these numbers. But
Yeah.
all of them said he was good, like extremely good, elite talent. They named him along with Myles Garrett to their all-pro team at edge position. So not all-pro 2, according to uh, the Associated Press, but their first team all-pro, ahead of Nick Bosa and TJ Watt. Ahead of TJ Watt, the guy who set an NFL record for sacks, right? He was also third in the pass rush grade among full-time pass rushers behind just Myles Garrett and Aaron Donald. So awesome company, obviously. Um, I also wanted to note that TJ Watt did lead the league according to Pro Football Reference with 52 pressures, while Crosby was 10th with just 42. Just 42. But then I also was looking at next gen stats. Like I said, you should look at different sources for this. And I found this tweet of theirs, which showed that he had 82, which led the NFL ahead of Trey Hendrickson. His teammate last year, Yannick Ngakoue, Nick Bosa, and Myles Garrett. This quarterback pressure, the QBP, is actually why I've also been targeting Trey Hendrickson a lot this year. For some reason, Sam Hubbard's been going ahead of him in a lot of these drafts, but Trey Hendrickson has been like quietly super consistent. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about this dude crushing Justin Herbert, hopefully this season.
I hope he crushes just Russell Wilson. That'd be nice.
I hope so too. I mean,
I'm joking. I love Russell Wilson. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. No one should ever hurt him.
He had the 4th highest pressure rate among 89 defenders with 300 plus pass rushes. That's 15.7%. That's very good. So that's what, like 1 in 6 plays he's getting pressure on the quarterback. That's
well, I mean, I joke, but also having Russell Wilson in the league is going to be helpful for getting more pressures and more chances at sacks because that dude takes sacks. That's what he does.
He just runs around.
So
that's what it's like,
right? I can imagine he's gonna finish a few more this year. He's gonna get home.
I hope so. I freaking hope so. And one of the reasons why I'm hopeful for this is because he got an upgrade on the other side. He got Chandler Jones. And, you know, you've probably heard about him for a long time. He's got a long, illustrious career. I was looking into his numbers, and I did not realize how great he has been. Last year...
Dude, Chandler Jones is incredible, and he's been incredible.
I know, but you kind of like, you know, you forget when a player's been around for so long, and he was never having like he never had a 20 sack season, right? He never had like.
He's underrated. He's
All right.
very underrated. This dude, he's a beast. Like
He's a
in
beast.
real life, the dude's a beast.
So
People
as you
sleep on
can
him.
see, Ngakwe, as you saw, Ngakwe is also getting great pressure on the quarterback for next gen stats. But let's look at Jones' stats. Chandler Jones is one of 6 active players. Is 1-6 good work? One of 6 active players with 100 plus sacks. Can you guess the other 5? Any of them?
Give me a second here. Let me think. It must be Robert Quinn, Von Miller, J.J. Watt, Justin Houston, and Cameron Jordan, if I just had to guess off the top of my head.
Oh, off the top of your head, was it? Very good guesses. That is absolutely correct. Oh my goodness. Fantastic. How did you know? Here's a fun fact.
I just know.
Here's a fun fact. He has done it in the second fewest games. Actually, that's not true. He has played the second fewest games among these sack leaders, but he has played in 10 seasons compared to all of who played 11. I found these stats on some different websites, but I compiled them here to get the things that I wanted to show off. Something interesting to note is all these guys have played a lot. One thing that's amazing is Cameron Jordan. 99% of possible games he's played. That's insane. He's missed one game his entire career. That's crazy.
I want to draw attention to two stats in here. J.J. Watt has 177 tackles for a loss and 64 or 63 pass defense.
Yeah.
That's insane, man.
It's insane.
That's insane.
That was why he was so dominant for those like 3 or 4 years or whatever, 5 years of his career, where he, they always told those stories with Bill Belichick and Patriots practice, like, oh, we're going up against, they're going up the Texans this week. So he had the defensive linemen or the coaches standing there with tennis rackets, waving them above the line to simulate like J.J. Watt throwing his hands up in the air because he was so good at batting the balls of the line.
He got a tackle for a loss, like more than one tackle for loss a game, like almost 1.5 every single game. that's
pretty good.
And a pass
pretty good.
Like every third game. That's nuts.
Well, so
anyway,
the
Chandler
point,
Jones.
The point of showing this point of showing this is actually not just to look at Chandler Jones. I mean, it is, but it's to compare him to his peers, to the old guys that are the veterans. There are not that many people who get 100 plus sacks, and these guys are all great. Robert Quinn is probably like the one outlier here because he has been consistent, and then last year was second in the league with 18.5 sacks, which put him over the 100 mark, which is crazy. Also, Chandler Jones went over the 100 mark this year, but like we said, he's played one less season, and you can see 17 less games. I like looking here at the sacks per game. You can see that Chandler Jones has the most sacks per game of any of these players, ahead of Von Miller, ahead of J.J. Watt. But you can also see that's kind of it, where he's the best. He doesn't lead in tackles for loss. He doesn't lead in total tackles per game, or PDs, or any of these other stats really, except for getting to the quarterback and getting the fumbles, right? He does have the forced fumbles here, which is great, but that's about getting to the quarterback when you're actually sacking them to force that fumble out. So when he gets home, he can make a huge play, and he's still got a lot left in the tank. And really, this is a recommendation for these other players on this list too. I don't think Von Miller's done. I don't think Cameron Jordan's done, and I don't think Robert Quinn is done. J.J. Watt, I would pump the brakes on him because of his injury history. But, if you're in a deep league, maybe a late flyer, Justin Houston looks cooked, totally. I would stay away from him. But, like, Cameron Jordan, Von Miller, Robert Quinn, Chandler Jones, these guys are old dudes who still got it. They're old, but they still got it, Like, Jordan had 12.5 sacks last year. he's good. They're good. And the point is not necessarily for me telling you, hey, you got to get Chandler Jones. It's more of like, he's a guy that you should feel comfortable taking. Like, don't feel bad if you have to take him. Don't think, oh, he's getting pretty old now. He hasn't been very good. He hasn't been very consistent. Actually, no, he has been very consistent. On a year-to-year basis, he's been getting double-digit sacks every season. He's played 15-plus games. He played 10 seasons. 2 of them he had injuries that derailed his season, and the other was his rookie season. But that's 7 out of 10 with double-digit sacks. All right, that's pretty great. Obviously, if you remember, he had 5 sacks in Week 1 last year in that amazing game, and then he only ended up with 10.5. So he only had 5.5 sacks over the next 15 games or 16 games or whatever. But he still was getting to the quarterback. As you can see, he still had 20 quarterback hits over the other 14 games he played, which is about 1.5 per game. So he's still getting there. He's just not quite getting there.
The thing with Chandler Jones too is just that Arizona defense has just been kind of funky, And when I say funky, I mean not necessarily great. Like, I don't know. If you look at their DVOA numbers, they're actually pretty good last year, but they didn't really have anybody else to go after the quarterback like Chandler Jones, right? He's the guy. Like, you could key in on him. Like, he gets those 5 sacks in Week 1, and then teams are like, well, okay, I guess we just have to.
Well, I think that's actually what happened. They did have another guy. I think it was Marcus Golden, and he actually led the team in sacks with 11 sacks, which is still pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, both of them had double-digit sacks.
Why though?
Why? Because they're stopping Chandler Jones. They saw the monster game he had, and the teams were like, "We're going to stop this guy." And that's an argument for why Maxx Crosby is going to get some this season. Both of them have each other helping. You have one of the best top 3, top 5 in Maxx Crosby on the other side helping you out. Chandler Jones had Marcus Golden on the other side. Marcus Golden's he's no bum, but he's not an elite pass rusher like Maxx Crosby is. So
Golden is he's fine. He's a fine player. Like, he had a really good season last year. Like, if we're talking as a talent, he's not on the level of either Chandler Jones or Maxx Crosby. Like, you're only gonna be able to block one of these two guys. You're not gonna be able to block them both. They're both guys that you have to game plan for and try to double team as much as you can, and you're not gonna be able to do that. And so one of the two of them is gonna be getting in the backfields every week.
Yeah. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. Now, the man who's going to be looking over this defense the most is the hopefully middle linebacker, Denzel Perryman. I say hopefully because I'm not sure what Patrick Graham's going to do. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But last year, he was the middle linebacker in our 4-3-D, and he finally broke out. I feel like you've been hearing about Denzel Perryman for many years, and when he was signed to the Raiders, I was like, okay, just another Gus Bradley signing that came over from the old Chargers days, and like, that's cool, but he hadn't been very productive over his career, but he more than doubled his previous career high in tackles this year, which is pretty great. He had 154, 6th best in the NFL. I think he had like 75 or 70 maybe was his best total prior to this past year. So like,
that's a lot of tackles.
That's a lot of tackles. And he broke out in his 7th season. That's like Patterson breaking out as a running back in his like 8th season or whatever, The thing with Denzel Perryman is that he didn't have much else going for him. He had all those tackles, but he only had 3 PDs, 5 tackles for loss, 3 quarterback hits, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, and 0 sacks and 0 interceptions. So he's not getting you much else. So this is a guy to target if you have a tackle-heavy format. So we have 2 points per solo tackle and 1 point per assisted tackle. Or in my other league, it's 1.5 for either. And in those type of leagues, he's a good target. LB2, I think he's a good target to be consistent week over week. But you're not going to get those huge splash plays. You're not going to get those weeks where he gets a sack or a pick or something like this, like a Devin White is going to get for you. But I think that you need players like this. It's good to have that safe tackle floor on your team. Like, you want to have that in your build to make sure that you're not getting a bunch of goose eggs from players who are just rushing the passer and end up getting zeros for you. So like I said, pay attention to the scoring settings and adjust your ranking based on tackle heavy versus big play heavy. So for us, in our scoring, I would say he's a solid linebacker 2, around like linebacker 20 range or something like that. But if your tackle settings are much lower, like I did a best ball IDP only best ball recently with the IDP show guys, and Denzel Perryman I took like super late, maybe like round like 18 or something like this, because the tackles were like 1 per tackle and 0.5 for an assisted tackle. So it's like there's no point, you know. Everything you want is it's best ball. You just want the guys who are going to get you sacks. You don't want this guy who's going to get you 8 tackles a game, because it's like it's pretty much worthless if that's all he's getting for you. So you got to really pay attention to your settings. The last guy I'm going to talk about here is Johnathan Abram. He, I think, gets a lot of flack. A lot of people were put off by the fact that he wasn't signed to his 5th year option. So this is a contract year for him. It's a big deal for him. I think that he did a really good job actually last year, not in coverage, not in coverage where he struggled mightily, getting beat by tight ends regularly. But he's the type of player that you want for IDP. He played in the box or on the line a ton. He's the strong safety. He's known as a big hitter, right? He is playing by the line or in the box a lot of snaps throughout the year, and even in the preseason, I saw it happen, and he was rushing the passer. Like they have him blitzing from the safety position, and that's awesome. That's the kind of player you want. You know, like how they were using Jamal Adams back when he was good, back when he was great on the Jets.
Whoa! The slander is uncalled for.
I still like Jamal Adams. It's just been a heartache since he's gone to the
Prez, man. Hey, I love Prez. I love him.
What do you think about Jamal Adams?
I will not stand for this.
Are you saying that he's been good?
I'm saying I love him. And I won't stand for the slander.
All right. Fair enough. So back to Abram. All right. He, like I said, he's a box safety that's getting close to the line of scrimmage. That means getting close to the action for runs and for blitzing. That's great for safety, for a DB. But something else I noticed that's great, he played 100% of the snaps up until he got injured in week 14. So he's not coming off the field. He's got all the opportunities. Remember, we talked about snap count and opportunity. He's got all of it. He also, last year, was leading the DBs in the league in total tackles through week 11. So from the safety position, he was leading all defensive backs in tackles through week 11. That's really good. He finished with 116 total tackles, which was still good for 5th, even though he missed 3+ games. Pretty good. Something that some people might call this bad, but I think it shows the hustle. He had the most assisted tackles of any player. So maybe he's that guy the runner's being stood up by somebody else, and he runs in at the end and takes the hit, or gets the hit to put him down for the count. Some people might think he's piling on. I think that he's just not giving up on the play. He's not giving up. This is, I think, a good attribute for the player. It can get him in trouble, late hits, and it also could have variance depending on who's scoring, because some stingy statisticians might think he didn't actually help him. He was already basically down, even if his knee wasn't technically down, so he doesn't get that assisted tackle. So
yeah, that's a stat where if you have a guy that's high in assisted tackles, that's something you really want to pay attention to weekly, like who they're actually playing, where they're playing, to see the actual crews that are working at those stadiums, are they more or less likely to give assisted tackles or just the individual tackle, because that's something that varies from stadium to stadium, right? They each have their own crews, their own tendencies, so that's something to especially pay attention to with a player like this.
Yeah, and you told me, funnily, you told me that the Seahawks guys especially love to do that, right? They especially love to boost up those tackle numbers for their players. So
Yeah.
if you ever have a player playing in Seattle, that could be a boon for your tackle numbers. And it's funny you said that because I later got into a conversation with a guy on like in a Facebook group about IDP, and he actually said that exact argument, but I like didn't expand his comment and I didn't see it because I like didn't see that I had to click. And I was like, "Oh, it's so funny. My friend told me this thing about Seattle," and he's like, "I just said that to you, you idiot." Like, oh fuck. But so that just goes to show that it's not just you who has this idea. It's like actually a thing that other people in the IDP space have like talked about, that it's a thing.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons why I like to target Bobby Wagner, Jordan Brooks. Yeah,
Well,
good crew.
we're gonna talk about those players. Well, not Bobby Wagner. We're almost there. Let me just.
Sadly,
I just have one note.
sadly.
I just have one more note about the Raiders defense, and it's about the new defense coordinator Patrick Graham. They deployed the Giants 3-4 last year. But when I was looking up stuff that he was talking about his defensive philosophy and his scheme and stuff, he was saying how, the modern NFL, it's nebulous. It's not. There's the base defense, but like it's just base in name because it's more of a sub package defense, a sub package and a era where players are always switching in and out. You can't just stick with the same players on the field. And that reminds me very much of like, Belichick's whole game planning for individual game plan every week. Who are you going up against? Are we going to be running out a lot of dime this week because we know the personnel is like that? Or are we going to be having more linebackers on the field or whatever it is? So when you have a situation like this with lots of sub packaging, you really want to focus on that LB1 because they're the ones who are likely to come off the field the least amount, which is why I said in the beginning, I only really trusted Denzel Perryman in this defense because I'm not sure how Graham is going to be subbing out the players, what's going to happen, if he's going to run 3 safeties or if he's going to run the 3 corners a lot more, if Nate Hobbs is going to be on the field a lot. But if you look at the numbers from the Giants last year, these are the tackle numbers or the defense numbers from the Giants last year. Tay Crowder, who is not good. He is not good.
Oh, so, Jason, you're tearing everybody apart.
I mean,
You're not
he's
holding back
obviously
at all.
good at football, but like I'm not
He's
good
better
at
than
football.
you.
Obviously, he's good at football. He's in the NFL, but like he only took over because Blake Martinez got injured, right? And Blake Martinez is back, and he's going to supplant him easily. He's going to go from the 1 to the 2 on that team because Blake Martinez is better. And he had 130 tackles in that defense as the middle linebacker or as like the number 1 linebacker on the team. So considering that Perriman looked really good, I believe he got an extension or he's trying to get an extension. I don't remember actually if he's actually signed it yet. But he's looking for an extension also, and he came off a career year. I think that he's going to flourish again, at least in the tackle arena this year. I also like to note that Logan Ryan was number 2 on that team in tackles, a safety who played corner sometimes.
I want to note, keep an eye on Xavier McKinney.
Yeah,
That dude.
he's a bad dude. He's gonna look good this year, I think. Xavier McKinney with Logan Ryan gone. Going down to Tampa Bay. The other thing that I noticed, the last thing about the Giants, I know this isn't a Giants thing, but I know lots of people are high on Ojulari taking a step up next year. The edge here, he was a rookie, had a promising rookie season, had 8 sacks. But something that was crazy to me, Leonard Williams, I had on my team. I did not realize he had 81 tackles. That is a lot of tackles from the edge position, from the DN spot. Like I don't know what was going on, how he got so many tackles, but that's a lot. 4th on his team. That's just pretty good. I think he's still pretty good. He's still in the prime of his career. You might want to look at him as well. Anything you want to add about the Giants? I know this isn't about the Giants.
I think that about sums it up. I'm not really big on the Giants.
Sorry, I just wanted to point this out because DC was there. The DC was there last year, and just to see how his players did last year in his scheme, and if that can tell us anything about what's going to happen with the Raiders next year. Okay, So I guess we can move on to the Seahawks now.
Right. Okay. So, on the point that you just made about paying attention to packages and how often teams run base for sub, the Seahawks run a lot of their base personnel. Like, traditionally, they've been one of the highest in the leagues in terms of having, at the very least, two of their linebackers out there. So last year, that was obviously Jordan Brooks and Bobby Wagner. Bobby's gone, and now we've got Jordan Brooks, and I think so. I think Cody Barton. I wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at this point if they made some kind of addition after cuts here. If they do a little bit of roster shuffling to see if they can bring somebody else in. Cody Barton has looked, to be completely honest, like he's been bad and played like a decent amount of the preseason, and he just wasn't very good. He was missing tackles like all over the place, you know.
Oh,
In
bad like
his
missing tackle. I was gonna say like
no,
sometimes
no,
bad is good
no,
for defense.
not not like Xavier McKinney's a bad dude. Like, dude, he's bad, dude.
But like we talked about before, like if you're bad, that means that you could stay on the field and get more opportunities. So instead of tackling the guy for a 2-yard gain, you mess up and he gets a 6-yard gain. So then they keep the drive going. But if he just straight up misses the tackle, then you're going to lose playing time.
Yeah,
So-
so maybe Jordan Brooks gets 200 tackles this year, maybe.
Maybe
Maybe
good.
just go after Jordan Brooks, really. But I guess one thing maybe to note is that Brooks and Bobby were both top 10 linebackers last year, and they were both on the field for like 90% of snaps, which is really high, really good. To have two linebackers out there on the field that much, that's just a lot of opportunities at whatever, every kind of stat, right? Especially tackles, though, right? If you can get somebody like Cody Barton, or if we pick somebody else up and bring somebody else in there that's going to be on the field that much, it's going to be a good value. The team is likely to be on the field a decent amount of time. Like if you just look at how much they were on the field last year, they were the most in the NFL by a pretty substantial margin of time. And if you're going to get that much snap percent out of a team, or sorry, out of player on a team that's on the field a lot, then that's a lot of points, right?
Yeah, if you guys missed the last episode, we talked about how the Seahawks had the worst time of possession in the game in the league last year, and their defense was on for basically a full game more worth of snaps than the second worst team. So compared to a good team, it was probably 2 games worth of snaps. So they're getting a ton more opportunities on that defense. And considering how bad they're off, losing their best player on offense, or second best player on offense maybe, in Russell Wilson, their offense is probably not going to be much better this year. So,
I mean, I don't know if I agree with that. Like, I would say, well, I agree that it's not going to be better. It will be worse, I'm sure. The offensive line is dope. Charles Cross and Abe Lucas are the truth. Just
really,
watch out.
I've watched them in preseason, and they have looked like a bunch of turds.
You were not watching Charles Cross and Abe Lucas, because those dudes they're absolute studs. You were not paying attention to the right guys.
Didn't they get like 3 false start penalties in one half?
Well,
come on, man.
Charles Cross got 4. One of them he didn't even move, so that was ridiculous. But I mean, it's just like if you watch them as actual blockers, like they basically won every single rep. When he went against Robert Quinn, he beat him a couple times. Some really nice blocks. So anyway, totally beside the point. But I think the nature of the Seahawks offense will be a little bit different, and that will result on the defense being on the field less. With Russell Wilson, you had a much more efficient offense, but also a pretty quick 3-and-out offense a lot of times as well. It was very boom or bust. And that results on just less time of possession, having less plays, and your defense being on the field more, whether it be because of a 3-and-out or because you scored a 50-yard touchdown throwing it to DK Metcalf, right? So, but one last thing on Barton, when he has played a majority of snaps, that's just a majority. That's not even like when he's played 90%. He's averaged about like 8.6 tackles a game, which is a pretty incredible pace. That's like top 10 tackler level when he has played. So again, he's looked bad here in the preseason. He's looked up and down at times in the past. So there's no guarantee he's actually going to be that guy. But if he is, he'll probably get a lot of snaps. He'll probably get a lot of tackles. So could be a good value.
Trying to do the math in my head. I just said Perriman was 6th with 154. So how many tackles did he have to average per game? That's 8. Why am I so bad at math right now?
154 or 156? What did you say?
He had 154 tackles.
54.
154.
9.
That's 9 tackles a game, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, which was 6.
Which
Right?
was 6. So that's pretty good. 8.6.
Yeah, that's 146 tackles about. If he just maintained the pace that he's gotten when he's that's just when he's played a majority of snaps. There's plenty of games in there where he got like 50-60% of the snaps and still.
What games are we talking about here? Because I'm pretty sure Brooks and Bobby were both on the field like pretty much the whole season. Was he playing with alongside of them?
Well, Bobby got hurt at the end of the year last year, and
okay.
also KJ got hurt a couple years ago, missed some time. He's played here and there, like each of the 3 seasons. He's had like a few games sporadically when somebody's been injured that he's played a bit more.
Yeah. Well, so Cody Barton's obviously been a very I don't want to say trendy because I don't know how IDP trendy in the IDP world. And he's going. People are going after him because of this, and one of the big reasons also obviously because Bobby's gone, and that's 160 vacated tackles, that somebody's going to get. Now, Barton doesn't need to get all of those, but like you said, if he could get 8 tackles a game, 7 tackles a game, it would be a smash for him.
Yeah. So kind of moving on here to defensive ends. There's really just one guy to think about here. I think Uchenna Nwosu and Boye Mafe could potentially factor in here and there, especially Boye Mafe kind of down the line in the next couple of years. He's somebody to keep an eye on. He's looked like an absolute freak at points in the preseason. Also athletic tester, like next to none, basically. He's incredible. But Darrell Taylor is the guy to really pay attention to. I think he could honestly, we could see him like kind of taking a leap, in my opinion, going from a good young player to potentially like a red chip. I don't know if he'll quite get to like blue chip caliber player, but I could honestly see him being like a red chip player, like one of those fringe top 10 kind of guys this year. Honestly, the talent with him is pretty incredible. He missed his whole rookie season because he had broke his leg his last year of college and it didn't heal properly, and so they had him basically redshirt his rookie year. So last year was essentially his rookie year, and he got 6.5 sacks, which is, for it essentially being a rookie year, is a pretty solid rookie year. I have a list here of some other rookie defensive ends and their sack numbers. We have like Brian Burns with 7.5, Chandler Jones, your boy you just talked about, had 6, Harold Landry 4.5, Cameron Jordan 8, Nick Bosa 9, Myles Garrett 7, TJ Watt 7. So he's right in the range of some of these elite pass rushers in their rookie seasons. He also had, I know like 100% for sure, there was one he had on Carson Wentz that was called back on a penalty that had nothing to do with him. And I think he even had like maybe another 1 or 2 negated throughout the season. If you want to see why you should be in on Darrell Taylor, go watch his reps against Braden Smith last year against the Colts. Braden Smith is a good right tackle, and he just made him look like he just took his lunch money. And with the Seahawks shifting, or at least in theory, or what they say, shifting to a 3-4 base, we're going to be seeing him standing up, rushing off the edge quite often, pinning his ears back, getting those tackles for loss, those sacks. He'll be in the backfield. He'll be messing plays up. He'll be making a difference. So keep an eye on him. I don't know if he's necessarily getting drafted right now, like in especially more shallow IDP leagues, but you'll see he'll have a few games this year. Like just wait, he'll have like 1 3-sack game, something like that, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, this guy Darrell Taylor." He's for real. He's for
pretty
real.
good.
Yeah. So that's kind of, if you're looking defensive line, considering they're going to be base 3-4 like the defensive tackles or the like in name defensive ends, you really probably won't have to spend much or give much attention to like maybe Shelby Harris or somebody like that. But they're just not
Yeah.
going to be getting the sack numbers to make it worth it.
And you're not saying like you're actively drafting him, and certainly not as a starter. Maybe like your fourth lineman on your team, if you have to start two, or maybe your fifth if you have to start three, or maybe even just a target that you have on your watch list to keep an eye on if nobody drafts him.
He's the guy. You click the little star.
You click the star.
You you go to Dale Taylor. You click that star, and you just wait. Let it go a week or two.
Yeah,
and he gets that 3-sack game, and then
I was right. Or that's the thing is that you can watch these games and I feel like it's different than with receivers where if you watch a game with a receiver and he gets a bunch of balls thrown to him and he misses all of them, you're like, all right, this guy sucks. He's dropping all these passes. Like, are they going to keep throwing it to him? But if you watch a defensive player and he keeps almost getting home and keeps almost getting that sack, it's like so much more like, oh, he's almost there. It's so much different than that. That almost sack is much better than that almost catch. But maybe that's why I stuck on Maxx Crosby all last year just to get stung by him.
Taylor, he had quite a few of those almost get there kind of plays, but I just think he's that dude. Like he's going to be one of the elite pass rushers in the league, and he's going to be a guy that finishes plays. I'm telling you now.
So grab him in Dynasty.
If there was one defensive tackle, yeah. He's a good dynasty play, I think. If there's one defensive tackle, I should maybe mention actually two. The world is blessed to have Poona Ford on this earth. And speaking of going to look up some YouTube videos, go watch Poona Ford as a running back in high school and just go have fun with that.
I don't even know who that is. Is he a lineman? Is he also a lineman?
You don't know Poona? Poona on a tuna? Big Poona Ford? Oh man. Poona Ford he's another one like you obviously like you don't even know his name, you haven't heard of him. Like he's one of the better defensive tackles in the league. He's kind of like one of our best kept secrets. Like he's a national treasure and
okay.
he's in the Good Name Hall of Fame. He's a big round man. And there's actually another guy, Miles Adams. I think he's a second-year player. Pretty sure he was an undrafted free agent last year. And again, if you're doing a defensive tackle league, it's the only reason why you would even think about these guys at all. But he's looked really impressive in the moments that he's played here in the preseason and like a tiny bit last year. Al Woods, another big guy. Not going to get you a lot of stats, but one of the most fun football players in the league to watch. Been around a long time. He's that dude.
For all those true position fanatics out there, you have to start DTs and cornerbacks. I get it. I still haven't done it yet.
So when you think about defensive backs in Seattle, what are the two names that come to your mind?
I mean, the two safeties that are Pro Bowl and All-Pro players.
Right.
Andre Diggs and Jamal Adams.
Yeah. So, yeah, Diggs and Adams are both, they're really Jamal. It's been a tough run here the past couple of years, just from injuries and the fact that they traded 2 first-round picks for him. Obviously, like real life football terms, like like that's not good value. That didn't work out the way that we wanted.
Not at all. No.
But if you're talking about fantasy, like he kind of fits the mold of a guy that you would want on your IDP slot, right? Plays a lot in the box. He's going to get tackles. He'll get sacks. He actually got his hands on a few more balls last year. That was the big thing. Like one of the kind of jokes in Seahawks like Twitter and Reddit and stuff like that was like, can Jamal Adams catch a ball? And is it like even possible? And he caught a couple interceptions last year. His pass coverage after they shifted to a little bit more too high shells, he looked a little bit more comfortable playing with things a little bit more in front of him instead of playing from the box. So that coverage picked up a little bit down the stretch before he got hurt, but he's not going to get a lot of interceptions. But you're also, it's possible he get more sacks than any other defensive back, and that's the big time plays, right? He could lead in tackles for loss. He could lead in sacks. Quandre, you're going to get with. He was 9th in interceptions last year, and he's had 3 in each of the last 5 years. So pretty impressive stuff. Those two are probably, Jamal will be rostered all season. He will be a premier guy in fantasy football. Quandre, you'll see him. He'll be a good bye-week fill-in here and there. But what I really want to talk about for just a minute is the young cornerbacks. And I know that we have already talked about don't put much stock in or pay much attention to cornerbacks in IDP leagues, especially if you don't have like the position specific, like if you just have defensive backs, they're going to be boom bust. But the Seahawks have 3 young quarterbacks that are honestly each have a chance to be really, really awesome players. Trey Brown is on the pup, so he's going to miss at least the first 4 weeks. But Kobe Bryant was the quarterback across Sauce Gardner. He's the other guy. Yeah. He's the other guy, not Sauce. He's the other one. The one that actually was really incredible and won the Thorpe Award as the best defensive back in all of college football last year, not Sauce Gardner. But he was a classic Seahawks 4th round, mid-round cornerback pick that is just going to be good at football. And Pete Carroll, as a coach of defensive backs and specifically of corners, is like, he just turns them out. Every year we get scrubs coming in, some street free agents like week 15, and week 15 they come out and they get a couple pass defenses and let up like only 2 catches for like 20 yards. Like, the consistency and reliability of Pete Carroll corners is incredible, and they continually find these guys in the mid rounds. So Kobe Bryant, he might actually be playing a bit of the slot this year as well. So again, we're thinking about guys that can make tackles out of the slot. He's not necessarily a high tackle guy, but he also could be getting a pass deflection or 2 every game. I think his coverage skills, he's very much that he knows what the receiver's going to do before the receiver's going to do it kind of guy. The most exciting one, though, is Tariq Woolen. Have you heard of this guy?
I've heard he's called Avatar. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's like he's like super fast and like huge or something. That's all I know about him.
Tariq Woolen, he is 6'4", like 210, and ran a 4.2 640. 6'4", 4.2 640.
Seems like he should be a receiver.
He was a receiver and turned
catch.
cornerback in college, but he can't catch as well as a receiver. He's a small school guy. He went to UTSA, which is Texas San Antonio, and slid into the 5th round, which was interesting because a lot of people pre-draft had him like 2nd, 3rd round. Obviously, it's just mock draft kind of stuff and not real experts, but I think even the people I kind of trust a little bit more in terms of their draft evaluation were a bit surprised he lasted that long. But from everything out of Seahawks training camp, he's just been absolutely incredible. Like, incredible. Everything that you could possibly wish, given that like physical profile, that athletic profile. It was assumed that he was going to be pretty rough coming in, but like I said, if you're going to take like an A+ physical specimen, an athlete, and give him to any coach in the league to coach him up, it's a Pete Carroll team. Like, you want him to go to Pete Carroll. So I'm not saying he's Richard Sherman, but just
don't say that he's Richard
out.
Sherman.
No, he's not. He's like way more of a freak than Richard Sherman. Way more of a freak.
So do you think he's going to start this year? Was he drafted to be starter?
So like he was drafted in the 5th round, and like no one expected him to start coming into training camp. It was like, okay, this is guy's a project. Like, let's just write off his first year. Like, just don't even expect him to play. He's a ball of clay, and he's going to take some time. But the way that he's been in training camp in the preseason, like he's like shutting down DK Metcalf, and he's getting interceptions every other day in camp. Maybe that's because our quarterbacks suck, but you know.
You got a starter now. Hey, you were right. You said Geno Smith was going to be the starter. He's going to be the starter.
Hey, this is the kind of content you guys should listen to this podcast for. Me calling Geno Smith as a starting quarterback.
So I was just checking it out. I was just checking out Our Lads right now, and according to Our Lads, he is the number 2 corner behind, or he's the backup behind Artie Burns on the right side.
Yeah, that's like the expectation here. We'll see in the next like few days when they actually kind of announce who's going to start week 1, but it went from basically don't expect this guy to even play at all to if he's not starting by like mid-season, we'll all be astonished. He's been just incredible, and just again, like they call him Avatar for a reason. He's a freak show. 6'4", 246. That's just insane. He's got like a 40-inch vert. He's got everything. So just somebody to just keep an eye on. Again, like all these guys, these cornerbacks, again, don't roster cornerbacks generally.
Yes,
But just keep an eye on them.
These are keep an eye on them, and maybe if you're playing IDP best ball and it's deep.
Yeah.
Someone else had given me this advice. I forget which show I listened to. I want to say it was the IDP show, and those guys were talking about IDP best ball strategies, and it was like maybe you should just go for big play cornerbacks with like your last 6 picks. I was like, that's actually a really good idea because they're the ones who are getting the picks. And it doesn't matter their week-to-week performance as long as one of those guys hits. You just get like a couple safeties that you can trust and be reliable, and then get like 5 or 6 of these cornerbacks at the very end. Just dart throws on players that you think can do something. So these are the types of players you want to keep an eye out on for those deep leagues, and maybe in best ball if you're extremely not nervous.
If you're a degenerate and you're doing,
I was gonna say extremely
IDP
desperate.
This deep.
Extremely desperate. But yeah. All right, so I think that's gonna do it for us. Is there anything else that you wanted to say about our things? Anything you want to wrap up with here?
I mean, I think that about covers it. That's a wrap on Seahawks Raiders, I think, as well.
Yeah, so we're going to finish this now bit on the Seahawks and Raiders, and we'll move to a couple other teams. Hopefully we'll get through them faster, maybe one episode for the whole offense and one episode for the whole defense instead of breaking it up so much.
These were our best episodes, by the way. You're going to get garbage content because we don't know any other teams.
Don't tell them that. You're saying the quiet part loud.
No. I got plenty of Bronco stuff because I've gone in deep because I have like hate in my heart.
And I'm here for it as a Raiders fan. And we'll be looking at the Commanders. Obviously terrible news over the weekend with the Brian Robinson shooting, attempted carjacking, like crazy situation. Robinson is likely going to recover from this. It does sound, obviously they said it was non-life-threatening, and, hopefully everything is going to work out and that his career is not over after this. It sounds like he could even come back this year, which is crazy. I remember Paul Pierce, he got stabbed in a club, like, right before the NBA season started, and he ended up playing the whole season. All right, so look out for that next. We're going to get into the Broncos and the Commanders. Hope you guys are drafting well, because this is the time to be doing it. No more preseason games. Get your ranks in order. Get your drafts going. Can't wait for
Bobby
to start.
I miss you. I love you. I wish you the best success. I love you, Bobby.
Really? You want the Rams to win again? You're rooting for the Rams right now. Is that what you're doing?
No, I'm rooting for Bobby. I love Bobby. See, Seattle fans, we're not bitter. We're not just crybabies. We're just bitter. Like, we hate Russ because no. We just don't like him because he's not a good hen. He's an awkward, weird dude. We don't like him. We just don't like him.
He didn't like
It's
bring you a Super Bowl or anything.
It's personal. It's just personal. Like we love Bobby. I would welcome Bobby back today. I love Bobby. I miss Bobby already.
So you're saying if Russell Wilson was like, I've had enough of Denver, I want to go back to Seattle, you'd be like, no, thank you.
We're done. It's over. It's over. Bobby
Oh
can
my
come back.
goodness.
KJ you can unretire. You can come back, KJ.
I mean, he came back for that retirement.
Yeah.
He did come back.
Oh, Sherm, if you're out there, if you just feel like, I don't know, maybe you just lace him up one more time. You're welcome back. Marshawn, come on. It's fine. Russell, though, I don't know. I can't with that guy.
People are going to
All right.
love these takes. I'm so happy. All right, thanks for listening or watching or whatever. If you want to watch us, where you can see those numbers that we're talking about, it's on youtube.com/takingumbrageff. Fantasy football. You can also find us on our podcast, anchor.fm/taking-umbrage. We should show up in your podcast feeds if you look for us there as well. You can also catch us on Twitter @takingumbrageff. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
Thank you.
Outro music. Yeah.